Hi, everybody. How are you today? Welcome to Female Founder Fridays. I'm going to wait till some of you come on. Hold on. So, first of all, today we're going to have a little bit of an interesting topic. I think we are going to talk a little bit about money. It may not be the sexiest topic, but I think it's something that is interesting to understand since we're all entrepreneurs and we are doing it to make a living, or most of us are doing it to make some money and to make a living. So, one thing that I think is important to talk about, and a lot of business owners do not do this, and I think it's very important. Cut yourself a salary. I may have touched on this in one of my previous videos, but as a lot of time, a business owner will not cut themselves a salary. They'll keep the money in the business, and then when they have a big sale or a great month, they'll take out some money. I don't think that's a good idea. I highly, highly recommend that you guys pull a salary from your business. I'll tell you one really great example of why this is especially important. A girlfriend of mine in the bridal business has a very successful business, and she went to go get a mortgage on a house. And because she didn't cut herself a salary and her husband was in it with her and he didn't cut his salary, what happened was it was just an incredibly complicated and complex thing for them to get a mortgage. So, along with many, many other things, I think when you can show a track record of payments, it really, really helps. Now, especially in times like these, God forbid you have a business, you're being shut down, you want to apply for a PPP loan, and you want to show salaries. For many, many, many reasons, for an unlimited amount of reasons, I think it's really important for you to pull a salary that your business can afford. And also, I just want to tell you before we continue that I am going to have a Q&A towards the end. I don't think I'll be speaking for that long, so think of any business questions possible that you possibly would want to ask, and it can be about any subject, and I am delighted to answer them if I can, or at least give you my point of view. So first of all, we were talking about money, and I was saying how important it is to cut yourself a salary in your business. So if I made $100,000 sale and I made a lot of money on that sale, my husband and I will not go, buy a Gucci bag. We really would prefer to keep that money in the business for times that are leaner. So we have been very, very disciplined through all these years of cutting ourselves a salary. So now that I've discussed that topic, I like this. Someone just asked, will we open a store in the future in Florida? Well, I wouldn't outrule that. We've actually considered Miami many, many times because my husband and I love going down there. So maybe like in South Beach or something. Could be South Beach, Palm Beach, something like that. So, of course, if I was there, I would probably open in Palm Beach, but I would definitely be staying in South Beach. So, getting back to money, I did touch on this last time too. I have another question before I go into this second topic. Every business makes expensive mistakes when starting out. Can you remember any of yours and what you learned from them? I have one really glaring expensive mistake. I didn't personally make it, but I didn't stop it from happening, and that was my mistake. But it was just, if my husband or I make a mistake, it's our mistake in the company. My husband had a company called Elliott for many years, and when I first started with Marisa Perry, he had done a lot of fashion jewelry, like sterling silver, 18 karat gold, diamonds, and semi-precious stones, but it was kind of like really cool silver fashion trend jewelry. And he used a lot of colorful semi-precious stones. And when I first took over the company, we were still manufacturing a lot of that. And he used to sell nationwide to Neiman Marcus and Saks Fifth Avenue. And he was used to doing pretty big quantities of jewelry. So we had this stone dealer, this semi-precious stone dealer. And he was really trying to hustle my husband. And he succeeded, sadly. But he was somebody who had these stones from Thailand, which, by the way, we still have them in our basement. That's how many my husband bought. And he sold my husband like these huge bucket loads of these stones. And the problem is we weren't doing that much volume that we would need that many items, or at least with our new business, we were not doing the volume he was doing with his previous business with department stores because we were already heading towards bridal. So anyhow, he spent like $100,000 or, more, but like he spent 100,000 on one order of semi-precious stones, and we're still sitting on that inventory, and that was disturbing to say the least. I could have used that money in so many other ways, and it did. It like told me that like I didn't have a good read on this guy, and I felt like he was selling my husband too much stuff, and I didn't understand why my husband was falling for that because he's so great in sales himself. It was so obvious, but for some reason he just managed to kind of trick my husband into buying a lot of stuff, and I saw it happening, and I didn't really stop it because I thought, well, my husband knows. He knows, how many stones he needs for orders. I really don't know that, so I'll trust him, and it was a mistake. Oh my gosh, somebody wrote what kind of stones. We had pink topaz, blue topaz, amethyst, peridot, citrine, lab-created sapphires. But what we really have a lot of left over is lab-created pink and blue sapphire and pink topaz and blue topaz and in various shapes, because with a diamond, you take the diamond and you make the setting around a diamond. You never, ever shave points off of a diamond. But with semi-precious stones, what you can do is make a piece of jewelry and then cut. Like if I made this with and I wanted to make this ring with the semi-precious stone, I could literally cut the stone to fit in the ring, and you're not shaving off that much money off of the stone. So that was a little bit different. But that was an expensive mistake that I would have preferred not to make. And I have to say, if you ask my husband, that will probably be his most expensive mistake. I had another expensive mistake, and this is something I want everyone to be aware of. And you know what? If you ever get your own retail location, hear this mistake. This is really bad. And this was not really my mistake. It was my lawyer's mistake, and it was a lawyer that my business partners at the time handled. But hear this one. And if you never hear anything I ever say in any of these live videos, remember this. When you get a retail store in New York, on your lease, it will often state that you are responsible for a certain amount of the property tax that the landlord has to pay on their building. So suddenly in my old store in Soho, we were getting bills for $30,000, $70,000 on top of our rent. I'm like, what in the hell? What is this? And it turned out that the lawyer did not dismiss that we were responsible for 13% of the property tax on the entire building and everybody living above us. It was something that they slipped into the contract, and I don't know, my lawyer apparently he didn't really catch it. Obviously, he's not my lawyer now. I'm just furious about this. But the point being, if you do sign a lease in New York, make sure that you know if you're going to be responsible for anybody's property tax and how much, because it's kind of a standard thing. And this building kept getting reassessed and reassessed and reassessed because property values were on the rise, and we kept getting bigger and bigger bills every year. It was just insane. Oh, here's another question. I do have some topics, but I prefer to answer the questions. During the MP existence, were there any obstacles along the way that you never expected to have? I don't believe so. I mean, obviously, one huge obstacle was that rent mistake and how I handled that, and that was well handled. But what happened was when I started getting these gigantic property tax bills, I kind of waited and kind of put it off. And I was asking my business partners who I had at the time, what should I do about it? And then it turned into being a situation where we got my business partners and my landlord involved, and in the very end of this long and drawn out process, I went in and I negotiated myself with my own landlord, and he was a tough businessman, but I happened to have inside intel that he was a really nice man, like that he was a good man and he hadn't kicked out very many tenants, but I knew that he was pretty ruthless in many other ways. Or he appeared that way. And at the very end, I went into him, and this was after 2008. And so we were basically right next to the corner of Prince and West Broadway in Soho. That was our old location. Now we're on Hudson and Horatio in the West Village, but this was our old location. And after 2008, a ton of stores closed, and there were tons of empty storefronts. So this is the way I handled it. What I did is I went and I took like a Polaroid camera And I took pictures of all of the 1 block radius from my store. So I went like 1 block this way, 1 block this way, 1 block up, 1 block down, 1 block up from the other block. And I took all of these pictures of empty storefronts. And I went to my landlord and I said, listen, I really want to stay in this location, but with my rent being so high and this property tax issue making my rent so much more expensive, I could literally just move to this location or this one or this one. Look at all the empty storefronts. And he stopped me and he's like, I don't want to hear this. Stop it, stop it. I said, look, you asked to meet with me. You're going to listen to it. And I overpowered him and I kept showing him, and here's more photos and here's more. And this one's empty and this one's empty and this one's empty and this one's 4,000 and this one's 5,000 and this one's 8,000. Now I can move, or if you want, you can work out a deal. And he said, I'm not working out a deal and blah, blah. So I said, all right, well, listen, I tried, Henry, no problem. And I was walking out the door and he tried to trick me and I socked it back to him. He asked me, he goes, do you mind if we put a for rent sale in your window of your store? And what he was trying to do is make me visualize that he was serious and that I was going to have to leave that location. And I said to him, no problem, Henry. I would love to help in any way I can. I'm delighted to do that. And he looked at me like shocked. He didn't expect that. And then I said something to the effect of, look, Henry, I know that you're a really nice guy. He goes, I don't think you should stay in that location. I don't think it's good for me or for you. And I said, Henry, I know that you're a really nice guy, and I know that you really mean it when you say that, and I really appreciate it, and I'm sure you'll do the right thing. And guess what? He knocked down my rent 30%. So what I did is I met meanness and confrontation with love, and I won that negotiation. And he took, I just remember that. Like, basically my rent was like $70,000 less a year because he took the property tax, factored into my rent, lowered my rent, and it ended up that I was back to where I was supposed to be to begin with. So it was really wonderful. I got another one coming here. If money was no issue, what brand or line would you add to your store that would be on brand? If money was no issue, what brand or line would you add to your store that would be on brand? Well, the only other brands that I think would be on brand really with mine, or actually like have the quality of merchandise I have, are companies like Cartier or perhaps Harry Winston, although since Swatch Watch bought them, they're not quite as good as they used to be. Or, Van Cleef and Arpels, but they have their own brands and they are not going to be putting like a showcase in my store. But as far as lesser brands, there may be a couple of fashion brands that I think are really cute, and I'd have to give that some thought, but there's nothing if I was going to add a line to my store, I would probably want the lines that already have their own, big businesses. Like once I asked Kwiat if I could have a Fred Leighton vintage showcase at a time when vintage was more popular. It's not as popular anymore. And they thought about it, but they said no because they are owned. Kwiat bought them, and Kwiat's a bit of a competitor. So that kind of struck out. And now we wouldn't sell enough vintage anyway. So everybody that comes in my store wants something custom, and we make it, and it's a no-brainer. So I started talking about money. And for those of you who joined late, the first topic I was saying that how important it is for when you are founding your own business that you pull a salary every week. Like you figure out a salary that your business can afford, or if you're financed for a year, pull a reasonable salary out and stick with that salary, because it will help you when you're applying for loans, when you're applying for mortgages, when you're applying for any kind of financial help. To show that you're pulling a consistent salary is key. So that's something most business owners don't do, and that is something I highly recommend. But I want to talk about other money things. I'm looking down at my notes here. I kind of touched on this last week, but I think that it's really important to discuss. One thing is I want to talk about not letting don't be afraid to let customers be at the winning end of the deal. But first, I want to discuss what I started touching on before. Customers are always willing to pay more money for an item if they understand what they're paying for. Nobody wants to spend more money if they don't know. Take a gym. Let's say you're joining a gym. And let's say one gym is $50 a month and the other one is $150 a month. But for $50 a month, you get 2 classes a week because that's all that they offer, and gym equipment. But a good salesperson at the $150 a month gym may say to you, well, first of all, our atmosphere is much nicer. This is super sanitary. We clean the equipment after every usage. We have fitness classes for running all day, 7 days a week. We do yoga. We have Pilates. We offer all of these other items. And we have come to see our beautiful locker rooms, and we have really high-end shampoos and conditioners and creams in the locker rooms. And once if you hear that, you may go, wow, for $150, this is actually a better deal and a better offer and more worth the money than the other gym was at $50 a month. So people are always happy if you tell them why your product might be more expensive and better. And a lot of people, once they really understand that, if they feel that it's worth it, they will spend more money on your product. And I kind of had to do that out of necessity. Our sales team had to do that out of necessity because our products are better and they are more expensive to produce. And so therefore we have to explain to the customer, look, these are not cheap Chinese settings set in China or precasted settings that you stick diamonds in. This isn't the Hackensack warehouse, a diamond warehouse in New Jersey, where you go in and you get some S-lot or fake diamond or some awful diamond graded by Joe Blow that they stick in some ready-made setting, and it's done in a day, but it looks like you bought it at a garage sale. That isn't like what we offer. So what I do have our sales team, explaining to people is that, we custom make every setting. We take your diamond, we scan your diamond, and that goes into making the model. So the center of your ring is exactly the right size to contain your stone and only your stone, because it is made around the exact measurements of your stone. And then, for example, if you have diamonds on the band, every diamond is, every hole for every diamond is hand drilled under a microscope so that you can set every diamond in every little hole that's perfectly calibrated for every stone and how much cleaner it comes out. So we can show people a precasted setting, and then we can show people our workmanship. Once they understand that, they're happy to pay more money. And I'm glad, because we can sell our diamonds for what other people sell them for. We may have diamonds from better sources that are more beautifully cut, that have much more life, and people will understand if they want to pay a little more for that. But our diamonds are super competitive. For our settings, they cost me a lot more to make. And once people understand that, they're more than happy to contribute a little bit more. Plus, it's something they're going to have for a lifetime, so they want to make sure that, they're getting the best, most beautiful and strongest settings. So that was my point on explaining to you why people will always pay more if they understand what you're purchasing. Excuse me. However, something that people in business don't really think about, and they don't think about how this will help them, it never hurts to let your customers be at the winning end of a deal. So sometimes I'll have some, guys come in and they're buying an engagement ring and they've shopped prices everywhere and they're really tough negotiators and they're really hardcore and they're really beating us up on price. And, sometimes it's really upsetting. And sometimes I say, look, I'm a luxury brand and I'm not going to drop that low on my price, or that this guy wants me to sell something and for a margin that is just completely unfair. So in our store, we have a rule. We don't want to go lower than makes us really uncomfortable. So there's a point to where we will just say, sorry, I'm just not comfortable with that negotiation and that price. However, it's really important that your customers know that they got a great value with you. You want them to leave happy and strong and super excited about coming back and buying from you, and that they can tell all their friends, look, go see Marisa Perry, or go see Nazreen, go see Mila at Marisa Perry. They gave me an amazing price on the most beautiful ring. They will totally hook you up. Go to them. So offering them, letting them be on the winning end of the deal, means they're going to probably refer you because you really took care of them. Also, they know they're getting the very, very best product because you've already explained that to them, and they're getting an amazing price on it. So we feel like if they can walk away happy and feel like they've won in the negotiation and have won, and they feel like they're getting a really great value, we feel great because we know that they're our customer for life. They will always come back to us for their wedding bands, their anniversary gifts, their, for earrings and diamond bracelets, because they know that we will always and have always taken care of them on price. So sometimes when you feel like, wow, I didn't make enough on that customer, or, maybe I shouldn't have given them such a great deal, or I feel really bad that, I wanted to please them and I told them I would sell it to them for a cheaper price, but I feel really bad now that I gave it to them that low. Just remember, it never hurts to let them be at the winning end of a deal. As long as you're making money and you're not losing money. That's important. I draw my line at the losing money. That's not happening. So it's nice to be able to do something special like that for your customers, and they never forget it. Do we have any questions coming up? Is there anything here that, let's see, I'm going to scroll down. Oh my gosh. Wow, someone visited our store in October. It was so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Here's some more questions. How do you feel about New York City competition? Would you say competition is a healthy thing or something to be concerned about? I have a lot more. Sorry, I have so many more questions. I'm so glad I scrolled down. I didn't realize that questions were coming in, or I would have stopped earlier. First of all, competition. I hate competition. And I always say that I'm not competitive as long as I'm number one. So that'll give you an idea about how I feel about my competition. As long as I'm the best one out there, I'm fine with the competition. But actually, no, competition is really a thorn in my side. I don't like it. Do I think it's a healthy thing? Not really. I think it's an annoying thing. I think that, it doesn't... I don't mind competitors who do their own thing. Take, Cartier and their leopard diamond bangles, and their, Cartier love bracelet, and their wedding band that looks like a love bracelet, or they're doing their own thing. Great. If you do your own thing, I love you. I don't like competition and competitors who are copying me all the time. And I can't say copying me, copying Marisa Perry designs, copying my husband's designs. It has just become so annoying that I just think I just wish that people would stick with their own look and feel of their own brand and stop trying to rip off other people. That is more of the competition that I don't like. I stumbled upon a website yesterday when I was checking something on our new website. We just kind of updated the look and feel of our website. It's really beautiful. Go on marisaperry.com. It's super pretty. And everybody says that my cherry blossom design reminds them of the chinoiserie behind me in this room. So anyhow, it's very pretty, but I was looking and I came across somebody I hadn't even ever heard about. I looked, they took our website and they copied like 40 of our designs, and they don't have any of their own designs. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, can't people come up with their own, their own look and feel? So that I feel sorry for them, but I also, it's kind of annoying. So I'm not concerned about it. I'm annoyed by it. Let's see. Whoopsie. Hold on. Let me just scroll down. Okay. A lot of founder entrepreneurs find that it is the mistakes that they've made or the challenges they've faced in the beginning that forced them to pivot, or forced a pivot or a solution that shaped the way their business went. Do you agree? Well, I definitely agree with that on some level. And I'm going to answer that. I just want to scroll down and see how much time I have, because I have a lot of joiners here and I want to make sure I'm not overlooking questions. And if I am, if I haven't answered your question yet, aside from this one, ask it again, because the scroll's going a little hard to keep up with. So, there are mistakes that I've made that made me pivot. I would have to think about mistakes I made in my old company that have made me pivot and change the way that I've run this company, because I did work for another company before that was not mine. However, I would say, for example, like that rent situation, that property tax situation, that was really a horrific thing. That definitely shaped what I did. I trusted this lawyer that my partners hired to review my lease and to get me a good deal. I mean, they thought highly of him, and they're amazing and smart. And I just took it for granted that it would be the right thing. And it did make me pivot. When I leased this space by myself on Hudson and Horatio in the West Village, I sat down with a lawyer, and the lease was 20 pages long, and I made him explain every single paragraph of the lease. He was getting really annoyed, but, and I made him go over any single word that would possibly not be in my favor and change it, because it was just, I wasn't going to be suckered into paying a wealthy landlord's property tax on their building again. That was not happening. And I mean, you do have to pay like a tiny bit. That's just standard in the lease. But, there's fair landlords and unfair landlords. So I was making sure I didn't make that mistake again. And also, it taught me with all legal documents, really read them. I don't like doing that. It's really annoying to me. Or pay someone to read them and let you know. Like sometimes if I don't have time to read a full document, I'll give it to my lawyer and I'll say, read this and let me know if you have any concerns. But I just can't, and this is a lawyer I hired, but I can't, I really do make it more of a point to read everything carefully, and especially if it's like somewhat of a shorter document that I think I can actually understand. And it's amazing, you will understand more than you think you will when you're reading these documents. But when it comes to any kind of contracts, I'm much more strict with myself. And also, I'm careful about how I actually allocate my inventory dollars. I don't have a lot of say over that because my husband's the designer and he creates all the jewelry and he likes to spend money on creating inventory, and it is an investment, but I'm much more of a careful spender. Excuse me. I'm going to scroll down and see if there's any other questions. Hold on. Hi, everybody. This is so much fun that you've all joined. Thank you. This is so great. So let's see what else. So I was telling you, we were talking about having people will always pay more if they know what they're paying for. And the other thing is just trying to make sure that they that it doesn't really hurt you or work against you if you let them be at the winning end of the deal. And just sort of in closing, I want to touch on negotiation, and maybe I'll go into this further next week. But in a negotiation, you should ask for everything you want and let the other person tell you what they won't give you. So, for example, if you're going into a job interview, you can say, I want X $1,000 a year medical insurance. Do you have a 401k? I'd like a 401k plan. I'd like this and that. And name what you'd like. I want, every Sunday off, and I want, 4 weeks vacation a year. They might look at you if you're crazy, if your demands are unreasonable. They may say it was nice to meet you and get out of here. But really, I think when it comes down to really actually the real negotiation, they've already decided they wanted to hire you and they're making you offers and it's gotten serious. You can always ask for what you want. And let them tell you what they will not offer you or what they're going to X off the list. Because a lot of times you should not assume that they will not want to give it to you. Maybe they don't care about the vacation. Maybe they're delighted to give you 4 weeks vacation, but they can't give you medical insurance. Or maybe they feel, look, I feel it's really important for all of my employees to have medical insurance, but I'm not giving you 4 weeks vacation. Or, they may feel you cannot assume what is important to them and what is not important to them. So if you give them a Christmas list, let them cut it down, and then you can decide whether you want to still take the job or not. But at least this way, you've sort of discussed what your wants and needs are and allowed them to reduce it. And it works in every negotiation. I did that with my landlord in this new lease. I told him what I wanted. I can't say new lease. It's been 5 years now, but this past lease, I told him what I wanted. I came prepared. I had all my ducks in a row. I had letters from my previous landlord. I found out what the guy wanted. I knew the guy. I knew this landlord had a lot of properties and he was not starving for the money, but that he wanted a tenant that would not make him crazy and drive him nuts and annoy him. So I got letters from my landlord saying that I wasn't annoying and that I didn't make any trouble when there was construction next door. And I had great credit, which because of that salary I told you to pull initially. And I was able to provide documentation. And so I could negotiate really hard on the price, and I got an amazing price on our space. So we can go more into negotiation. And if anybody's interested, think about questions about negotiation. That's a specialty of mine. And think about what you may want to learn about that next week. So does anybody have any other questions? Because I will let you guys all sign off, and you can ask me any business questions that you want. Anything that you can possibly think of that would be helpful to you. Or if you're having any problems in your own business, or have any questions, or have a situation that's unusual, feel free to either ask me a question on this platform, or if it's private, you can DM me, and I'm delighted to answer, or at least give you my opinion or any help that I can. I've been around a long time, and I've been working for many, many, many years. And so through the School of Hard Knocks, I've been able to learn a lot that hopefully I can share with you. So anyway, I am scrolling down here. I don't think I missed any questions. So anyhow, thank you all so much for joining, and I really look forward to seeing you next week for Female Founder Friday at 3 o'clock on Instagram Live. Thanks a million. Thank you for joining. So long. Bye-bye.